Are you ready to get casual? Grab your favorite adult beverage or combustible plant and join us for our roundtable TTRPG discussion. Oh yeah, it's time for Casual Friday. And now, here are your hosts.
Hey everybody, what's up? There's this cool thing that Critical Role does where they are trying to talk about the most inappropriate thing right before they go live. And we are accidentally starting to institute that tradition here, which I'm for. Hey Jim, is it Thursday yet?
It is Thursday, and if we're going to do that, you have to be careful because sometimes when you hit the go live button, there's like half a second between when it goes live and starts the intro and you can hear us.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if what you said made it on air, but
Their objective is to screw up the host. Technically, I'm the host right now, so I have no one to blame but myself. I did it. Stay
but we're
tuned for the
talking
after hours show to see what we said.
we're talking Critical Role Campaign 4 episode 09 today.
To the Hounds. I loved this one. It hit a lot of good notes for me. Maybe my least favorite part was the part that was like kind of not this episode, the cold open. I was like, oh yeah, there's other things happening in this world. So we open with essentially the majority of the Revolutionary Guard getting the boot. Not Azune. He's still there with his little cadre of like arcane detectives, but most of the Brethren Hall is emptied out because the Sundered Houses are taking over.
Yeah, it's the Einfassen, the guy from Einfassen who has previously been talking to Azuna. And to set the scene a little bit, the camera opens, Brennan is there, and Luis Carrazzo's there, and Derp Hal, what's his freaking name, the actor? Lima Bryan. Lima Ryan playing Hal. Azuna and Hal are at the table, but what Brennan does, this kind of interesting thing where he fast switches back and forth between two scenes. And so far, this is the most effective cold open we've had because instead of just having a couple people role playing in a scene where they don't really know what to say, he switches back and forth as soon as something interesting happens or there's like a break or a question or any kind of pause. Classic cliffhanger technique when you're writing fiction. Switch back and forth between two alternating POVs in different locations. Then you can always leave each chapter on a cliffhanger. That's how you get them. That's how you get. I'll just read one more chapter before I go to bed. That's how you get them. Azuna asks the Einfassen, I don't remember his first name. He says, "Where's our record keeper?" And the guy says, Record keeping is not centralized." That was terrible German. Intersperse that with Hal at the Hallowed Round, his theater, to check on the production.
I love the actor jokes. I love the commentary about themselves. I mean, we get more later of like actors are terrible people, but the idea. I think it's the second time we come back to Hal, but like make a choice, one choice, and that is amazing advice for TTRPG players as well as actors.
Mm-hmm.
Commit to a thing and don't try to do seven things. Do one thing hard.
Yeah, there's no in the couple times we cut to Hal, there's no real plot stuff there. It's just kind of like reminding the audience about Hal. But in the Azuna and Einfassen scene, there was something there that was quite chilling when they said something like, "Have you seen any laxity? Anyone ignoring arcane threats?" And Azuna says, "No, but we'll double our efforts." And then Einfassen says, "Well, if it's so easy for you to double your efforts," and I was like, "Oh, like
That hit the corporate
yeah." I was sitting in a performance
shield.
review, like a flashback to performance reviews right then. Like, ugh, that was chilling.
Oh no, I thought that sounded good, so I said it, but it sounds like I'm working half as hard as I should be.
Right. Yeah, and
uh,
Einfassen says, "You are very young to have achieved such a high rank." So clearly, Einfassen is sus of Azuna. And Azuna is, I think the point of the scene was Azuna is in trouble.
yes,
He's in
to the
trouble.
to the troops. All of the troops. Wait, hold on. Yes, things are not well in Dolmakyar. We don't know much about what the Einhausens are doing, other than they're a sundered house, and all the sundered houses are doing some power grab. We still don't quite understand how they've so successfully taken over this orcish city, but like we learned throughout this episode and like putting the pieces together over this season so far, like the human kingdom is shot because they killed the sun god, and maybe as a final fu, the sun doesn't shine there anymore, which means you can't grow food or survive there, and who knows what else is going on over there. Um,
Well, I don't think we're going to get answers to those questions about how the Sundered Houses are doing what they're doing until we get back to the Seekers and the Schemers. Probably the Schemers, because it's a very schemery kind of plot. It's not like you don't kill the king to take over a country. You install advisors to the king to bend his ear. You install lobbyists to influence the people who make policy. Like that's the kind of schemer plot. How you take it's not about like a coup. A coup is the last thing you want. Um, do you have anything to say about the Void segment? I've been skipping it.
no, I skipped the commercials. I'm sorry. It's a very long show, and I actually I have a deadline to watch it now, so it's like everything.
Yeah.
And I'm taking like crazy notes. My note taking is getting more and more. It feels like they're somehow packing more and more into the episodes, even though the overtures seem to have like so much. I can't even like watch this at the gym anymore. I need to like be note taking.
No, yeah, no, I can't watch it on my TV. I have to watch this at my desk in front of my screen with my note tab open. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. But we come back after the opening. We're in the Kingdom of Timony, again with our soldiers, and the Hound of the King Hawkins is chatting with the party. Taylor tells him about Sid, and then the Hounds say, "You guys want to roll with us?" Of course, they say yes. Everybody wants more hounds. And Thimble says that she doesn't feel any better now that Kaz is dead, and this made me feel for Laura Bailey, because I'm sure it's got to be difficult to role play this character now, because everything in her backstory, her whole personality was shattered in the first 10 minutes of episode 1, right? Like her whole personality about being this rebel, about being attached to Thiazi, her family, her being given to his family, all this stuff, all that's gone. So like, as a character, Thimble is left broken with no, left broken, trying to wondering which way is her compass going to point next. And so that's got to be a challenge for Laura to portray that. Like, how do you portray like, she wants to show her personality to us in the sessions, right? But she's also got to portray someone who is aimless and broken.
Yeah, and we get some really nice thimble scenes in this, and it does feel like Brennan holds out a little olive branch is the wrong maybe piece of magnetism to guide her compass, but he says Kaz was the closest person to Tiazi, but clearly it's now understood that a lot more people are responsible for his death. So the revenge plot lives on.
Mm.
There's more people to get. In this little scene, we also get Wikander's love interest reveal.
Armus.
Anna de Armas.
Yeah, yep, that's what I wrote down too.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can see it.
Yeah, she disappeared, and now Wick before thought that she was an actress who just moved away, but now he's starting to wonder if maybe she was taken, maybe his family had something to do with it. Wick is examining everything that happened in his life now through a new lens.
Which is nice. I think we see a lot of Wicks unraveling and reforming. We also had Dame Morgaine talking to Jasper and the rest of the dwarves about this excavation. These guys are in town building a bridge to help. I mean, it feels like a bridge to nowhere, right? Sloke is a dead end at the end of into a mountain, but they little side hustle went and excavated this cairn a word I am never comfortable saying out loud as a as a dungeon master and a hiker. It comes up surprisingly a lot. It's a weird vowel cluster, but it
I thought it
seems
was a
like
I thought a cairn was a little pile of rocks you put to indicate a path.
it is. It is also, think of a giant version of that to symbolize a grave site, especially in like land where you don't have a lot of soil to dig down.
Mm.
Yeah, the cairns I come across mainly are on hiking trails, a little pile of 3 to 5 rocks. Hey, hikers, don't make them. They're bad for wildlife. It's not your job.
Funny, I have a great story about cairns. I'm sorry, I have to tell this story.
Do it.
So Cairns, we would say cairns, right? Well, in when I lived in Australia on the Gold Coast, there's a town named Cairns, Cairns, and I didn't know about this town. And my coworkers like, yeah, we're gonna fly to the Gold Coast, and then we've got a business meeting in Cairns. And I was like, Cairns? And I Google it, and they're like, there's no Cairns, Australia. That's how they say Cairns. I'm like, Cairns. She's like, yeah, Cairns. Anyway, Australians are weird. I'm sorry. Please continue.
There's a pile of rocks that had presumably treasure. It's a barrow for those of the more English Tolkien persuasion. And these dwarves went down there just cuz, or maybe at the behest of the Hounds of the King. But it's clear that they were not the first to get there because sunlight was coming through the seal. Brennan does this really nice thing where he starts talking about tabby or something. He goes into like the contractor speak of like, see what you got here is clay and sand mixed together, and like over explaining something that no one's interested in, and then shows that there's daylight coming through. The Draconis maybe married in to Sloke and offed the person not to get their hands on Sloke because they were very eager to get rid of it, but to potentially explore and extract whatever was here. And this is not just a one-off. It seems to be happening all over Timony over the last year or two. The Draconis are stealing something from underground, and you know their house death associations out of the gate. So ancient relics, more of this psychopomp magic item mystery. We don't know, but it's interesting.
And the Hounds did mention that they need proof of any Takona's treachery before they can take any kind of action. Brennan threw out a little plot hook there, said that they could go visit the stag of the Seven Steins, who's some kind of druid who might have answers. There's a little plot hook that got thrown out there that maybe that'll come back later. And there was
I
one thing
hesitate to correct you, but I believe it's Tines, as in like the pointy thing at the end of an antler, and not Steins, the big ass beer mug. But I see where you're coming from.
Who liked to party, man. Brennan explained the Sundered Houses, which I thought was very interesting, where he said that since the Sundered Houses had all lost their lands in the War of the Old Oberdemium Gods, they shared that tragedy and bonded over it, and they sort of used that tragedy to rise to power. And now they use that story as PR, basically, to say, you know, like, look how we came up from nothing. We're common people, when really, you know, they're the rich and powerful now, but the rich and powerful love to tell you about their common roots, right? And I think that's interesting. I didn't realize that before. Like, that's how they sort of rose to power, was playing on the sympathies of people because they'd lost everything. Then they parlayed that into great power and wealth.
And they had the magic. Like, they were already powerful and wealthy. They just, like, all of their lands became worthless, but they were still arcane or whatever, divine, but they were sorcerers. We also, this is maybe theory crafting, speculation on my point, but we learned that they were not all on the same side in the war against the gods. I kind of assumed because Taconis and Wix's side were team gods, that they were all team gods, maybe, but the Royces and the Einhausens and the Cormorants, I always want to say Cormorants because bird law, but the Cormorants we haven't seen much of. We're on the opposite side, and now the Royces just got God. So maybe the Sundered Houses are a little less unified than we think right now. TBD.
Yeah, and I mean, all the only thing we know about Einfassen is what we've seen in Azuna's scenes, right? And we don't know if Einfassen is acting in cahoots with the other houses, or if this is their own play to take over by taking over the military, or taking over the cops, essentially. So we don't know. I noticed again there were. This is definitely a pattern with Brennen and overland travel parts. Is he gives the party two options. You can go this way. You can take the Miller's Road, and the same thing happened when they get to the castle. You can go in the main door. You can go in the side door. Brennen likes to give them two options to travel. Thimble suggests stealth to avoid fighting any Taconuses they might find. Tayor wonders why they're keeping Sid alive. And the Hounds, the Taconas said that back at that inn where Sid was, but nobody knew Sid was there at the time. The Hounds said the Taconas said something about, quote, stumbling into another one. And Tyranny tells Tayor, I think the Taconas want you.
We don't know why we kind of know why they took Sid. We don't know why they kept Sid. And pretty confident it's not good.
Right.
It's not altruistic reasoning here.
They took Sid because he was trying to mess with the Castle Sloke deal. He stole the deed. Right. He got in their business.
Yes, but they did not turn him over to Kaz. They didn't even bring him there to show to Kaz. We got confirmation. I mean, we kind of knew, but like full-on confirmation, Sid was in that tavern. They could have interceded there. But yeah, two birds, one stone. That it's interesting. I'm looking forward to learning what that meant.
Yeah. In the next scene, hey, Twin Steel, in the next scene when we're on Miller Road, the Hounds stop to pray at a shrine and cast Pass Without Trace on everyone. Wick and Tierney discuss her servitude to him, and then Tierney says, you manifested me, but I want to be part of the team. And we learn that the Candescent Creed has been trying to oust King Augustus since he buddied up to people in the Falconers Rebellion. And also that Augustus allowed the people, the serfs, to directly petition him, which the local lords did not like because he was allowing the common people to bypass their local lords to talk to him directly. And now we know why the Candescent Creed, at least one of the reasons the Candescent Creed is trying to sow discord in Timony and trying to waging open rebellion against not waging but stoking rebellion against King Augustus up here.
How dare you spread democracy on my watch? It's getting spicy. I was already kind of Team Gus when like that one common man was like, yeah, he's my guy. And then the fact that like he's Team Dogs, like it's very, hey, everybody, here's what you've been tuning in to see. I'm Team Dogs, if this is still considered a dog. But yeah, man, I mean, this is a classic Brennen Lee Mulligan. This guy, Gus isn't coming back. I don't know, man. I don't think he's going to make it back from Damakiar. I kind of see the writing on the wall here. I feel bad for him, but we did get the nice little gag of it's raining cats and dogs. Sorry, no offense to half of the table is a cat or a dog funny. or named cat. And yeah, the Hounds, or at least Sir Hawkins here, is a little more comfortable in a Fae-themed roadway, and kind of lightens up a little bit, and gets on Wix's case for being afraid to like commit to a path. Actually, I don't know if we were still in the tavern or on the road when Wix was like, yeah, they'll keep our secret, right? And Tyranny was like, no, you waffled back and forth for half an episode. And you never told them, not like you said, you're Wickander, Halavar, and you're going against the Candescent Creed as it stands right now. There's going to be consequences to that. Commit, make a choice, make one choice.
Yeah. How's Pass Without Trace looking 5.5? Oh, I took the comments down.
+10. +10 to stealth. Pretty good.
So
Brennen
is
Lee
it just the
Mulligan,
same?
just the same. Brennan does a good job of making it seem cool. There was this like scent of honeysuckle in the air, and we thought it was. I thought it was the Miller's Road magic doing it that first time, which was a nice little head fake. Because later we find out this is like an innate ability of at least Sir Hawkins, if not all the Hounds of Timony.
So the Hounds of Timony are druids, or are they just uplifted dogs?
Well, we find out this episode towards the end that they are reincarnated
Oh, right, right, right.
soldiers, which got a little bit confusing because they made a promise to serve the king for multiple lifetimes before the gods died, and the passage of souls got screwed up. But the druids are the old way and know about reincarnation and this stag of 7 steins. Let's just go with steins. It's actually, I think I like it better.
He likes to party.
He likes to party, man. Yeah, Tony 7 kegs. Everybody knows Tony. He drank 7 kegs that one time. The hounds are reincarnated soldiers who have devoted their life to, and this is the part that I get hazy on, to Augustus, who was around and king 80 years ago. No, there wasn't. It was all the Oberdeen Empire back then. So I don't know. I'm a little fuzzy on the history still. But yeah, the druids have reincarnated. There's a locket on, I don't know if it was High Tower or Low Tower, whoever we meet in a little bit, with the knight who he used to be, who he doesn't really have memory of, but has heard stories of. And that is how you end up with a Hound of the King. It's reincarnation.
But before we meet Fell Tower, the Hound of the King, on the Miller's Road, we meet some of the weirdest phase shit I've ever seen, the Black Rabbits.
This is what it's all about. This is what, like, if anyone was tuned in last week when I was gushing about Dolmenwood, it's this weird, whimsical, terrifying note that only good face shit can hit.
Yeah, so
Woo!
the Black Rabbits are a fairy cavalry riding rabbits. They have long bows, poison arrows, and thorny legs. They have tiny fairy heads on their belts, like doll heads you can swap out. Hawkins says they're brigands, and I wrote down Travis is having a great time with all this. Travis just loved it. The leader is Clonny of the Thorns.
Torns. The Torns.
Torns. Clonny of the Torns. He greets Thimble. Then she hints about a place where they can get bread and milk. I assume they're talking about the tower that they left where they got the eggs.
No. Albid's place. She sends them to Albid, the gnome
Right,
who's
where they
waiting
got
for
the
his
eggs? The
daughters.
gnome. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I guess he did have a tower. Like he had like the observatory thing. You said tower. I'm thinking of like
Observatory.
the keep. Yeah.
keep,
I'm with
yeah.
you. Same.
Yeah, so it seems like they have sent him. They're saying you could, there's a garden you can tend there in exchange for a crust of bread and milk, which is what they want. Clonny switches his head. His thorns recede, and he says, "I'm Clonny the Rose." Apparently, switching their heads is quite painful, but they need to switch their heads to go from being evil to good. It just I think. I'm wondering if this joke was based on Brennen Lee Mulligan seeing that episode of The Simpsons where they have the evil Krusty the Clown doll, and he's like, see, here's your problem. Somebody set this thing to evil, and he flicks the switch on the back. I like to think Brennan saw that and was like, I can make that into an NPC. They're called Kettle Hops when they're good and Griggs when they're bad. Clonny tells them the House of Royce has fallen, which was new info to Thimble, and gives them some ruby fold, which is something Tasker is looking for. I don't really know what the ruby fold is. Maybe this is the thing that the Taconuses were excavating for, possibly.
Well, no, I assumed it was an herb actually, and I don't. Maybe that was a mistake that I made, but I believe it's a plant to treat this disease that we hear about, that we learn more about after the break. Um, I don't know if that's real or imagined ruby folds, but I took it to be like some medicinal herb, maybe from fairy or transplanted from the Fey realms.
Yeah, you're
I
probably right.
also
We don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just like the idea that they got this news from a Kelpie. Like these little dudes who are like tough guys are afraid of nothing except this like unseelie um Fey thing. If you don't know, Kelpies are these like horses from the water, and that sounds like like Princess Daydream stuff. But like, actually, no, they're terrifying. They are horrible things. Um, so I think we're going to meet that Kelpie as we continue going north, and I'm looking forward to that too. Because give me more Fey. If this is what Fey are like, all Fey, all the time. Irish accent. Robbie talking to Thimble in Thieves Camping, like, oh, should I sick the wolf on them? These are 4-inch little dudes on rabbits. How bad could it be? And the guy answers in Thieves Can. He's like, oh shit, they do speak Thieves Can. Of course they do. Perfect.
They're brigands.
Perfect. They're brigands, bro. Of course they're speaking Thieves Can't.
Then they
so good. So good.
They arrive. They part ways with the Black Rabbits. I sincerely hope we see them again. They arrive at the edge of the city of Tybry's Lee, while Thimble processes losing House Royce, and she worries about the Golden Orchard, which is where the Seekers are headed, toward the Golden Orchard. That's Matt Mercer's crew. They arrive in the city of Tybry's Lee at the keep of the Earl of Gormalay, Gontratall Keep. That's so many capitalized words in a single sentence. They arrive.
So many proper nouns this episode.
A lot of proper nouns. They arrive during Candlefest Feast, which is a Candescent Creed festival. And the Hounds are like, they're like, should we just rock up with the Hounds, or should they be undercover as regular dogs? And they talk to a Candescent Creed volunteer who gives them cookies when we learn that Cat has gluten issues.
Don't we all? Or just me? Sorry. I love the negotiation of the borderline DMPC sort of character. Like, look, we'll help you guys, but also we have our own codes and agendas that we must follow. So, like, we're not riding into battle with you against the Taconuses because that would be our kingdom declaring war on them, and we don't want to do that. But we'll be helpful to a degree. So keep that in mind. Remember that we're here and that we can't do everything. So that really, I don't know. I just feel that in my bones sometimes of like, this knight will help you, but he's not going to help you marauder and burn down this village.
Thimble chats up some local kids, and we learn a bunch of stuff. The local Lux, which is the Candescent Creed like bishop. Is Aratea, the Earl of Gormley's wife, Caswin, recently passed. And Thimble asks the kids, you seen any fancy people? A freaky lady with a skull face? And they say, yeah, we saw her. The carriage got stuck in the mud. Then they went to the hospital. And then we meet Felltower. Like the Hounds are like, we're just about to take off. And then we meet Felltower. And we also know that Tybry's Lee is a dog-friendly town. They said for every 5 people, there's one dog. And I'm like, that sounds like Boulder. Sounds like every town in Colorado is pretty much that. There's Colorado, we have a saying here, a dog for every Subaru. So we meet the Hound of the King Felltower, who says that Taconis has arrived yesterday and they're now at the castle. So I didn't understand that part about going to the hospital. The Hounds officially say, yeah, we gotta bug out now. We can't go any further. And then we get the part about the reincarnated knights and to the Hounds, which is our new your new toast. And then the break.
Yes, the idea, the Taconuses, we're looking for a specific Taconus carriage. We kind of found it thanks to the children who sneezed in Thimble's face. Well, perfect. No notes on that one. A great exchange. The Taconuses have been rolling into town over the last couple of weeks. They stop at the hospital and go to the castle. So to reinforce your idea of like, here's 2 options. There's a hospital, there's a castle. The Tejoneses are visiting one and staying at the other. What's going on here? Um, it's a hospital. Something bad's happening in that basement, right? I don't know. It's is spooky. We also learned a tiny bit about this bellows fever, which is what the I don't know if that's why the hospital was set up, or if it just so happens to be fortuitous timing or all going according to plan. But yeah, here's a potentially magical plague that only the intercessions of the Candescent Creed can fix. How convenient to usurp a kingdom, or not, or they're just doing good stuff. Hard to say. The Lux seemed like a nice lady from what we saw. We also find out that the Earl of Gormalay is bringing his lady who has been dead for quite some time. So what is that? Laura rolls a nat 20 to find that is to overhear that conversation, which the Lux is clearly surprised by. So that's weird. That's something.
Yeah, the group splits up very briefly. As Thimble gets a nat 20 on a perception, and also Brennan starts kind of interestingly. He's like, "You see the Candescent Creed doing a lot of good here, feeding the poor and helping people," and that was kind of an interesting twist on the nat 20. And Wick goes into a shop, and the guy tries to sell him a fey trap using honey, and it's like Wick is such a babe in the woods. He's like, he doesn't understand what racism is, and I feel like he's over the last few days of this trip, he's really starting to get a good example of like, wow, everyone hates fairies, and I don't understand why. Like, yeah, Wick, that's racism. Welcome to the world, honey.
And your and your family are the Murdochs. You
Yeah.
need to intercede here.
Cadigan is extremely suspicious of the hospital. Robbie kind of makes a big deal about it. And I got the feeling that Robbie later regretted like harping on it since they ultimately didn't go there. And Kat tells the group that he is going to leave them eventually, but not anytime soon because he's having too much fun.
And I think that might be some bleed. I think Robbie has not internalized that he's no longer a guest star. He like every cooldown he gushes about everybody else's performances, which I love, and he does feel like he's holding back, or is like afraid to steer, or step on toes or something. Which like respect, man, like way better than going the other way on it. But yeah, he's great. He's great.
I mean, I also got to say that it can be hard to play a character who's a man of few words.
Mm.
Because I've been in that situation where like I want to play a character who's stoic and doesn't say a lot, but I also don't want to sit there and not contribute at the table,
Mm-hmm.
Like just because I'm not playing the charisma character doesn't mean I can't ever pipe up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I can see Robbie maybe, because in the last campaign he was playing a charisma character and he didn't step forward as much as he should have, and because he was new to it, and he's still pretty new to it, and so now he's not playing a charisma character, he's playing a wisdom character, and so he's and he wants to be stoic, but he also wants to contribute, so he's kind of finding that this is Robbie's first edgelord, is what I'm saying. And he's having to go through the growing pains of knowing how, because you can successfully play an edgelord at the table. I've seen it happen. But it's hard. It's hard to do that and still be cool and have people at the table like you.
Yeah, shout out to our we pulled that out and did Oops All Edgelords for approximately 2 hours and 30 minutes. Check it out. In the One Page One Shot Club. It kind of broke Jim though.
Yeah, it's called Elf with the 10-page backstory on Landlocked Warlocks. Tyranny and Kat have a heart-to-heart where Kat said his dad is dead and an alcoholic. She turns into a human girl. This was kind of thing that kind of didn't go anywhere. Cadigan had some kind of plan that didn't pan out where he asked her to turn into a human girl. Cadigan says he thinks they're making an undead army at the hospital, which I mean maybe they are. But Brennan kind of sets the record straight and gives a long explanation to say we don't, the Earl of Gormley is probably not bringing his wife back from the dead. It's probably not what's happening here.
Reincarnation is very hard to do, which has a double-edged. This is a deadly campaign, and big overarching plot. The gods are dead. The dead are rising and voting Republican. The hell is overflowing. Interesting, big, high level, high stakes stuff, which we'll see towards the end of this campaign, I imagine. But yeah, it does bring up these like reincarnation questions of like, yeah, you're not gonna be a person again or be who you were. Your memory's gonna be wiped, and maybe you're a dog, and like could be the best thing that ever happened to you. All dogs all the time, please. To the Hounds. There was a lot in the back end of classic D&D play, but like less interesting TV of like, okay, what are we doing? Speculation and planning and like false starts. I like Tyranny has only been on this plane for 9 months, and she's the newest D&D player. And that kind of dovetailing as like, I have this egg that makes everything that like spreads disease. Maybe that'll get us into the hospital. It's like, well, I mean, it's an idea. It's not a very good one.
Yeah, watching all of the planning is hard because you know that there's a 90% chance they're not going to do any of that.
Yes.
And in that way, Blades in the Dark has the right idea that there is no planning. You start at the heist. And if you need, I still don't kind of, I've seen it and I've played that game and I still don't even kind of understand how that part of it works. But like, you don't plan. If you plan, you kind of do it retroactively with flashbacks and other things. But yeah, they got the right idea because there was like an hour of this session. They're like, what if we do this? Or you could disguise yourself into this. And I'm like, none of this matters. None of this is going to have any bearing on what actually happens.
No, the shopping part was the most interesting part of that hour after the break, which is crazy.
But there was one thing that happened before they, during the planning, is the Earl of Gormley came into town, in the center of town, and brought out a coffin with his recently deceased wife in it. And then he apparently converted into the Candescent Creed religion right there in front of everyone, which was like a hand over mouth moment. Everyone was astounded. I guess we don't know much about the Earl of Gormley, right?
No, we know he's been in mourning. We know he approved Kaz getting Sloke, or no, I'm sorry, approved the Daconis marrying into Sloke. The Hounds suggested Lady Cosgrove not talk to the Earl of Gormley, who is the next up on the org chart for her, but actually wait for the king to come home. So we know there's something going on here. The castle, Delani has black flags or banners flying. It seems like he's been in seclusion, mourning the death of his wife. And now him coming out was a big deal. Like the Lux was trying to get him to come, even like attend. I always want to say Candlemas, which is the Adventure Zone holiday. Candle Nights? No,
Candle
that's
Nights. It's
Candle Nights is the CEO. Candle Nights is Adventure Zone or
Candle Nights is Mabim Bam.
It's Mabim Bam. It's not even Adventure Zone. It's Mabim Bam. Anyway, the idea that he's like coming out, it's like, oh, cool, I haven't seen him in a while. And in like a feudal society, maybe the peasants, especially like the farmer from out of town, but even like the merchant running that shop with like anti-fairy traps, probably don't see the liege lord very much. So him coming out after a period of mourning felt like momentous anyway. The fact that he shows up with his dead wife in a coffin, still don't quite, maybe I missed a trick somewhere, but I don't know why she's in tow. If it's like last rites in the spirit of the Candescent Creed, or he's hoping for some resurrection thing. His castle is swarming with Saconuses, as we'll trip over in a minute. Maybe he has been led to believe that they are capable of doing something very sus in my eyes.
Yeah, we don't know, but there's a lot of plot hooks in Gormalay. A lot of plot hooks in Timony. We know that. Yeah, so they decided not to. They leave the hospital alone for now, although Cadigan basically made everyone promise that they would check it out before they left town. And they do a lot of debating about what to do next. I think some of the issue of the debating what to do next is because a lot of their plan hinges around Wick. A lot of their plan hinges around him being an authority figure, and him having absolutely no clue what he's supposed to do at any given moment. So a lot of times it's something will rely on him making a decision, and he's like, I don't know. But eventually, Thimble gets tired. Laura gets tired of all the debating, and Laura says, I fly over the wall. Because they're debating going in the main entrance versus a side entrance. And then Laura's just like, zoop. She goes over. There's a bunch of carriages on the inside, people walking around. Sees the skeleton face lady, who's Lady Univere. She's pointing toward a wine cellar, and then she goes invis, and we don't know what happens to her after that. She could be anywhere. Much discussion about Disguise Self that doesn't go anywhere, and then the discussion goes on so long, even Brennen gets tired of it because he has a patrol come around the corner and spot them. Then they drop an egg, they turn invisible, and they're like, screw the planning, let's go. Because they're invisible, but they don't know how long it's going to last.
Yes. A ticking clock is always a good Dungeon Master tool here. I think it maybe was going to be passed without a trace again. He's like, you know what, you're invisible, but you don't know, not for long. Do something. Act.
Do something. So they're all in the courtyard, and they're trying to get into the cellar. And then as they start to make their way down something, the invisibility goes away. So I'm assuming it was probably like 1 minute. Probably seems like they had probably a minute to cross the courtyard. And then Brennan's like, you're about to get busted. Let me go get the map.
Yeah.
He goes to get the map. They go down into his cellar. It's dark. Thimble hears clanking. Then something very strange happened. Taor cast Shield of Faith on Wick. And then Wick sees Taor has some kind of divine power, something in his eyes, and Brennen says maybe Taor doesn't even know where it comes from. And later in the cooldown, then Sam was like, Travis, what was in Taor's eyes? And Travis was cagey. Travis wouldn't talk about it. He was very cagey. So
he actually pulled out the Rickroll, which I was impressed by.
So we don't know what's going on with that. We don't know. I don't know.
There was an instance earlier in the episode too of like, what does it mean that he's a paladin? What is? I think actually Sam in character was like, is it because you swore an oath to me? Which is hilarious. And Cadigan was like, he used to have, he always had that like spark in him, and he starts gushing, and then they make it homoerotic, and it kind of became a tick joke instead of like what. Like, we don't know why Taor can do light stuff. He did not mainline angel blood or have it tattooed on his face, I should say. So yeah, he might not even know. And if he does, he's not telling. They're slow playing it.
Or this could be, because it all started when I think, didn't Taor cast Guiding Bolt, and Wick tried to roll an insight or something and rolled low. I think it was something like that. And Brennen was like, he's clearly touched by the light. So this could all just be a long red herring path that Brennen is walking Sam down.
Yes.
Could be.
Yes.
Could be. Well, in this basement, Thimble finds a weird stone. Cadigan looks around for rats and casts Speak with Animals and talks to a rat who says, many have gone through the door. They don't come back. They die, but they don't stink. Then in the cooldown, Brennen apologized for making the rat too scary. That was pretty unnerving. They open a secret door, then a bigger map comes out, and Wick casts alarm. Then Brennan rolls perception for the baddies inside, who roll high, and they say, "Who goes there?" And then they try to interact bits and pieces of various plans they've discussed before. Everyone except for Tyranny hides. Tyranny disguises herself into Octus and then steps forward and says, "I'm looking for my fox." There's a stone slab in the cavern. Tyranny rolls deception, and she enters to see a bunch of people, a bunch of statues, and a huge lizard creature, which is probably a basilisk. And everyone in there, they don't buy her deception. She fails her save and starts to petrify. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Cliffhanger. This was a great example of what you can do and what can happen with these separate tables, where the Taconuses know that Octus is dead or should be dead. And her pretending to be Octus is maybe a good idea in a vacuum, but that's because they don't know all of this stuff. And Sam openly admits, I think in the cooldown, that he doesn't watch Critical Role, so he definitely doesn't know that Octus is dead.
This is a very interesting theory. What if it's been a fake out? They TPK and then they go back and they play new. They just assimilate to split up to the other two tables and they play new characters.
Wow. I mean, credit AM Rosa 10 if you are correct, because that's a cool theory. I think it might happen unplanned based on the numbers here. But that's very interesting, because I was saving, I guess we're at the end of the episode. I was not expecting it to be seasons of one table at a time, which is really what it's felt like so far. Like tonight's going to be the 6th episode of the Soldiers Table. 5th? 6th? Math is not. I'm an English major.
9, 10. It's 6.
It's 6 episodes. This is the 6th episode tonight of
Yep.
pure Soldiers Table. The cold open's giving us little breadcrumbs about what's happening, but honestly, I'm not. It's a crouton sitting by itself on a plate without the rest of the salad. I don't really care about these breadcrumbs, really. Sorry about it. They're fun, but like I'm not invested in those stories because they haven't started yet for me.
Yeah.
So it's been very interesting, and that's if this is a second overture sort of thing. Like if this is the plan, like these 6 episodes are actually a standalone head fake, even if that's the case, so this is planned out, that would make more sense. Or whatever, we get 6 and then 6 and then 6. I don't know what my viewing experience will be like if this is the pattern that's developing. I'm curious. It's a interesting undertaking that they have set for themselves, and I don't know anyone who's done something like this before successfully.
I don't know. In the cooldown, there was one thing they had to censor, a spoiler about what Jeremy Crawford is working on. Travis gave it away, and they censored him and then fast forwarded through them talking about it. So we don't know. It's got to be good. Whatever it is, Travis knows what it is. That's all we know.
It was about Tyranny was under an illusion and then became petrified. She's now a statue. Is she a statue of Tyranny, or is she a statue of Octus? That's a very interesting question. I would say she's a statue of Tyranny.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
That would be your ruling. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Because if you're incapacitated, you can't. Well, is disguise self-concentration?
I don't think so. I don't know. But like your magic, like your spell drops anyway. Like you're not, if you're invisible and you're petrified, I can see your statue.
It would be the same
invisible statue, right?
It would be the same rule for mage armor. If mage armor would go away, then so would disguise self, right? Because it's a long lasting. It's a spell with a duration that's not concentration.
And you're not a appropriate target anymore. You can't disguise self on it. You're now an object. You're not a person. It's interesting. I am on record many times on the internet saying I do not care what that guy said. on Twitter. I will say, if he was down the hall, I might feel differently about his opinion. It is a unique situation.
Yeah. There was one other video that they put out this week, the leveling up video, which I checked, you can get it on YouTube. And they all leveled up from 3 to 4, sort of, or they made a plan to level up from 3 to 4. Everyone rolled their hit points, and they looked at some feats, and everyone freaked out because there were too many choices.
Huh.
They all had you got a lot of choices. They all freaked out. But then Brennen said that they could choose whenever they want to level up at a narratively appropriate moment, which I think would be great. You know, if you've gotten a new spell, or I remember Laura Bailey did that with Imogen in campaign 3 of Critical Role when she leveled up. She did it after she leveled up, but the first time she leveled up and she cast Fly, she acted like she role played that she didn't really know how it happened or where it came from, which is kind of a sorcerer thematic appropriate, right? That the magic is just like, I don't know, I just hang out and smoke weed all day. I don't know where the magic comes from. But what do you think about this? What do you think about this leveling up at a narratively appropriate moment? Because I think at a regular table, everybody would be like, well, can I just do it now as soon as possible?
Yes, I love it. I think this is one of those don't try it at home kids things. I do really like the discussing options out loud at the table. Like, okay, if I take this feat, I am more like Tayor was debating between two. Like, I am more likely to be defending my friends and healing them, or I'm more likely to be out front dealing damage. These are two paths. Let's see. Let's hold those two options in a quantum state and see what the story pushes him towards. And in that moment when, man, I really wish I had this feat, you select one and that collapses these possibilities, and now this is the path you've chosen. I like a good character driven, like narrative driven reason for level character choices in leveling up. The idea that I would do it whenever the players decide, oh, that feels scary to me. And I love my players. Like, I got some mature people at my table. They would do it immediately.
We had a version of this in our Daggerheart 4-shot, where all of you 3 players, when you leveled up from 1 to 2 in Daggerheart, you get to create a new experience, which is just a custom skill. And all 3 of you made new experiences that were based on things that had happened in the campaign before. I don't remember what yours was, but I'm pretty sure it was something related specifically to that fight, that tough fight that you guys had just had.
It was Calm in the Storm. Because, I shot the thing when I was in like some magical hurricane, and then I was like, that's a poetic moment. Like, that'll be, and then it just, and then I was looking for resonance for that the whole time.
Yeah, and Brad and Mike did that too, and I don't think you guys discussed it. It was just something that happened organically, and I really liked that. I thought that, that's how it should work. Yeah. Instead of just trying to come up with the most mechanically advantageous experience you can think of, making experience actually based on things that happened in roleplay. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I probably wouldn't do this leveling up whenever you feel like, whenever it seems appropriate at a game I was running either, but I trust the Critical Role guys to make it cool.
I'm going to predict that there's a good chance we're going to see a moment where it's like, man, it would be really nice to have 11 more hit points right now, so I wasn't dead. Perhaps in this fight coming up. So we might see somebody pop, which is an interesting thing, which is like an interesting moment too. If the idea is, okay, you are at a story beat, a milestone, an experience threshold where it is appropriate for you to be level 4 now, crossing that threshold the moment you would die otherwise, yes, okay, that is actually like a narratively satisfying dramatic beat to pull that out. It also, on the other hand, feels a little cheesy.
Mm.
So we'll see how it goes. I
Oh,
have high hopes.
there was one thing in that leveling up session I wanted to ask you. Were you yelling at your screen when Sam was trying to pick his options?
As far as the con save thing, no, I saw like, is that what you're talking about? I saw people
Yeah,
upset about
because
that.
he was like, I need to get beefier, and Brennan was like, well, you can take ability score, or he thought about taking resilient, which gives you a +1 to con and gives you proficiency in con saves. But sorcerers already get proficiency in con saves.
Yeah.
I was like, no, Sam, no, don't pick that one. You're wasting half of it. And then he was like, well, I could take tough, and I could see his stats, and I was like, your dex is an odd number, your con is an odd number. Take ASI, bump both of those up, you'll get more hit points, better armor class. That's the perfect solution. And he's like, should I take tough? I'm like, no. And then eventually, like right at the end, he goes, I do have two odd numbered scores. I could put a point into each of those. And Brennan was like, huh, I guess you could. And I'm like, yay, finally. Do that, Sam, do that. That's the smart move. Right? Because if you had 13 dex and a 13 con, what would be more useful? +1 AC, +1 hit points, or tough and 2 hit points?
I I wasn't looking at the screen for that episode, so I didn't see his numbers in front of me. But like, I see this all the time. Feet are good, are also kind of a trap because they seem. It's like here's a cool thing in words. I want that. +1 doesn't feel like much compared to it, but I've seen a, a lot of players in character creation or leveling up taking a feat when they'd be much better served simply improving their AC or con or primary, your spellcasting modifier, your attack modifier. That adding +3 to +4, or if you're a caster, increasing your spell save DC is
Mm.
almost always the better answer,
Yeah.
especially now that those like two or three overpowered feat like sharpshooter are nerfed or balanced now. A feat is not necessarily ever the right answer or always the right answer, but almost every player I've watched go through this process sees it as the default, sees it as the better option immediately. And I think pretty much every player was like, "Yeah, I might do this, but I'm between these 3 feet. Not, I'm gonna dump two into my main stat, or I'm gonna even out. Always look at your odd numbers first. Like if I do
Yeah.
+1 here and +1 here, I'm good. I'm so much better.
Yeah, the ASI, especially at level 4, ASI is the feats are tempting because they look cool. But ASI at especially level 4,
Especially that
always
first one. Yeah.
ASI. Usually level 8 too, because
Mm-hmm.
if you're starting probably with 16 in your main stat, you go to 18 at level 4, and then 20 at level 8, and then at level 12 and 16, you do whatever feats you want.
Yeah.
I
Think
think
Warcaster.
one thing I do like about the all the level 4 feats are +1 now, right? Or most of them are
which
+1 now.
which mitigates. I feel like there used to be a lot more like literal trap options on that feat list. The
Mm.
fact that you're getting +1 and something makes it less of a kneecap choice, but
I
it's
think
still not always the best, and it's still rarely the best choice. But it seems like it's most people's first choice.
Yeah, I think one thing I do like about it though is that it's good for min-maxers, it's good for planners. If you're going standard array 15, 14, 13, 10, 12, 8, and you know that you can put a 13 on a stat that if you know you're going to take a certain feat at level 4, then it makes that it's just part of the plan.
Right.
Um, but yeah, but those guys, the critical role, those guys, they all rolled magically high so well on their stats that they're all taking feats at level 4 anyway, because most of them have like already at 18 in their main stat anyway.
What did they did? They did 5d6 drop the lowest too or something? Didn't they? They did some silly version of
I think
roll for
it
stats.
was 5d6 dropped the lowest two, and Robbie said he accidentally did 4d6, and he still rolled incredibly well.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Allegedly, it was done on stream with verification. But I don't know. I didn't see it. I didn't verify it.
No. Hey, everybody. We're an hour in. You're with us if you've been here this long. I like Critical Role. I wouldn't be talking about it every week if I didn't. I've never seen people like Critical Role taught me and put the word cocked die into my lexicon. And it happens so frequently. And I think we've actually discussed it before where it's like maybe because they're using janky dice or they're crowded dice trays or whatever. But like
that's what it is.
Get some dice hygiene. I don't know. It's incredibly rare that I have to re-roll a die because it isn't decisively showing me one number. Like maybe I use dice trays. I have 2 different kinds of dice trays in the rotation on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, and like things don't get stuck in the corner. Maybe am I just good at rolling dice and I don't know that? Is this just like a privilege I didn't realize I had? Or like how often do you say like, oh, that's a cocked roll, that's like I need to roll this again?
I wouldn't even say that it happens every session.
I don't know if it happens every month. I play twice a week. I don't think I do it once a month.
I don't know if I'm playing, I'm gonna have probably like 3, maybe 4 sets of dice. And that's mostly so I have enough D6s and D8s for stuff, and I keep the D20s in the tray, and I keep all the dice in a nice, concise, neat little pile next to the tray. You don't have to keep all your dice in the tray. They're not gonna hurt the table sitting there on the table. Like you have to. I watch them do this on Critical Role all the time. They throw their D20s into a tray that's got 60 other freaking dice in it. Like, how do you even know which one's yours after you throw it?
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, oh, which one? There's a few D20s and it's like, oh man, did I roll the green one or the dark green one? Sam never does it. Sam does his little like drop, which is not my preference. I find it aesthetically unpleasing, but he's never like, oh, that's not a result.
Yeah, his thing this season is dice that he can't read. He'll be like 7, no 4, no wait 14. That's his thing this season.
I'm officially an old man now. You can't tell, but these have 2 different. These are like fancy new age bifocals. I went through a tear of becoming just like surrendering to my dice goblin tendencies. My id just won. And I got so many dice, and in that process realized the most important thing to me is legibility, especially as a dungeon master who's like trying to keep the game moving. The idea is like, is that a 17 or a 14? No, bad. That dice is no longer in the rotation. I need to know what the thing says immediately. He's going. He's on the move. I had D4s that were oriented another way, like the number was on the bottom instead of the top. And that made me.
These are clear dice with red writing, and they're impossible to read. They also have glitter inside them. I couldn't grab the D20, but this is the D8. This is one of the most readable ones. Is the D8 here? Let me do that trick.
Make it focus. Get him. Yeah, I can see it's a 4, but man, yeah, bad.
Impossible. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. My favorite dice all are most of them are solid color and have very clear, legible numbers.
I've got hollow ones with dragon designs and bells in them, and so I'm never going to use them again. They're wonderful until I need to use them for their intended purpose.
And when I can, I roll this. This is here's a.
I got a couple big chunky boys.
This is a regular size D20.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is a I don't know if you can see that on the 20 is Cartman. The only large D20 I could find was a novelty South Park D20. But
wonderful. I think every DM should have a big fatty D20 to roll in front of the table, even if you're running with a DM screen or not. It's a whole. I've got videos about that. Rolling a big chunky boy when the situation calls for it was like, all right. This is important. So not only am I going to show you the results, so I'm not taking responsibility for whether or not this dragon's about to kill all of you. Also, to emphasize the momentousness of this occasion, here's the big boy. Oh, speaking of emphasis, one thing we alighted over Brennan called for the roll for emphasis, which people have told me that is the official term for it. He did that on Worlds Without Number, and it broke my mind. It was like the coolest mechanic I had heard of in a year or two. Roll two d20s, give me the result that is furthest from 20. I want the most emphatic answer. I think he did it. He did it on the Miller's Road, and that's how they pulled the Black Rabbits, or like maybe it was the response of the Black Rabbits, because it was like a middling roll even with the roll two. But I love that technique. Any DM who's like, all right, let's see what happens. Roll a number. It's a 12 or 13. Like, I really was expecting more information from that roll. Like, I was really hoping for 3 or a 19. I really like that. I
missed
really
that.
like that. Yeah, yeah. It was a quick little thing. And the table were like lit up. They're like, whoa, that's such a cool idea. And I've seen it once before in an AP. And it was Brennen Lee Mulligan, and I made a video about it, and a bunch of people told me, like, yeah, we have a name for this. Roll with emphasis, but I don't know if they I could not find its source. Like, I tried to find like what game started that. Chat, I mean, let me know in the comments, even in the future, if that's like, if you know the origin of that. But I think he made that up, and I really like it. Doesn't always work out, but like, ooh, great
That's
trick.
That's a great home roll. What did Travis McElroy say? 11 is the least funny roll.
Yeah. Agreed. That 8 to 12 band is like, ugh. All right, I'm giving you disadvantage just because I roll dice. Give me another number.
I think we're probably about done here, but I did want to mention this. You know, Ambrose, the number one conundrum of this show is that we wish we knew how they filmed. Of this show. We're very curious how this filming schedule works, how it's all going to break out. As far as I know, they haven't told us crap about scheduling or filming schedules, or we've done some detective work on this show, like looking at clothing choices in the cold opens versus the episodes, that sort of stuff. So you can I've been able to piece together sort of which cold opens were filmed together based on Brennen. You know, Brennen only has like 7 shirts, so it's not that hard to track his outfit choices. But we don't know. We want to know. We can't wait.
I do think it's smart that they didn't tell us, because now they can just kind of do whatever. Like, if you commit to a bit, then you have to keep doing it, where it's just like, and we're going to switch until we're not going to switch till it's the moment to switch. But
Yeah,
I am fascinated.
If you switch every month, then you hamstring yourself into either wrapping up an arc or leaving on a good cliffhanger. Yeah, because you can't enter. If you're going to switch and not see that table for 3 months, you can't end on. Then you take a long rest, and I guess we'll see what happens after that. You can't do that. That's going to be boring, right? You have to end on something compelling. And so I guess this gives them more flexibility. But also, then if we switch to the Seekers table, and I hate the Seekers, I don't want to think I'm going to be spending 6 months with them. So there's that.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm prepared to like everything. I want to be as engaged as I am right now, but like, dogs and fairies. I mean, they said it at the break. If it's not dogs and fairies, I don't want it. That's where I am right now.
Dogs and fairies, yeah.
That was always my policy, though.
Are we done here? Is there anything we left out?
I think we are done. We'll see you all probably in a couple weeks. Next Thursday is Christmas, and then it's New Year's.
Yeah.
So happy holidays, whatever you may be celebrating. Candlemas, candle feast, candle nights, candle lights. Celebrate responsibly, which means don't set yourself on fire. However, you're celebrating with candles.
Yeah, this is probably true. I think will probably enjoy the Seekers and the Schemers table, because the reason I love the Soldiers table so much has a lot to do with Brennen. I like those people at the table, but it's mostly Brennen, and I know we're only 10 episodes in, but these last 6 episodes with the Soldiers have been some of my favorite D&D I've ever seen. Certainly some of my favorite Critical Role. Ready for Moss.
Moss. All right, everybody. Goodbye. Happy holidays.
Happy
Burn some
holidays.